but you will see some of the hotspots near more of our businesses and more of those areas, as well as the kind of more centralized along Sierra Highway and then our major arteries throughout the city. And then these are our traffic stop hotspot maps as well. So you'll see a direct correlation to where majority of our vehicle thefts are taking place, majority of our property crimes, assault crimes, you'll see those stops happening in that area as well. You know what, I think the next, the other PowerPoint, sir, just really quick. Kristen? I think it's the other PowerPoint, the other one that comes up. That table that you guys are familiar with is what I'm trying to find. We'll get that up here on the screens in a moment, but I can go through kind of some of the data. Overall, we have great news to report. It should be, yes, this one. And then next slide, or I do that. There we go. This is the table we're looking for. Sorry, new guy problems. But if you take a look from our 5 and 1 year comparisons, you're gonna see overall tremendous improvement. We are down about 300 Part 1 crimes in the city of Lancaster compared to last year, which is phenomenal. If you take a look there at criminal homicide, you're gonna see overall in the data, you're gonna see a 1 year change of a drop in 57.14%. For the station total of criminal homicides. There were only 2 year to date here in the city of Lancaster, 1 in the unincorporated area, which again, if you look at the 5 year data, is pretty incredible. Forcible rapes, you are gonna see a drop again of 14.71% in the city of Lancaster, and then a 100% decrease in the unincorporated areas, for overall station total decrease of 21.62%. And then every time we do any kind of statistical reporting on this, I just want to remind everybody, this includes any crimes that were committed previously, however reported in this period. So if you have somebody come forward and say X amount of years ago, this situation occurred, because of the statute of limitations, it gets reported in this quarter, so it may not have happened specifically in this reporting period. Okay, moving over to robberies, you're going to see a 6.52% decrease in the city areas, a decrease of 22.22% in the unincorporated areas, for a station total of 7.92% decrease. Aggravated assaults are down 9.12% in the city area and down 2.38% in the unincorporated area, for a station total of 8.26% decrease in the aggravated assaults. For burglaries, we're going to be down 26.94% in the city and down 20.51% in the unincorporated areas, a total of 25.86% for the station. For larceny thefts, you're going to see a decrease of 6.47% and then an increase of 80.43% for the unincorporated areas. The total in that was 83 reported year to date. And then an increase of 3.12% for the station total in larceny thefts. And again, a lot of those, and I can get into specifics on that if you have questions about that, but a lot of those are going to be things that are reported kind of in the unincorporated or the that open property area, the open fields where they're not secured, but items are taken. So we're working now, seeing this increase on our public safety campaigns to kind of remind, even if you own a bunch of land, it means you still have to secure the property and the items on that land. So that is where we're seeing that increase. Going over to Grand Theft Auto, this is, again, really exciting. We're down 58.77% in the city and down 21.05% in the unincorporated areas, for a station total of 53.38% decrease. And again, just an exciting thing to highlight with that is the attention that's been given to Grand Theft Autos, not only with the investments made by the city, but also our Lancaster team, which is our special projects team. They were assigned specifically to focus on grand theft. So we have 2 deputies dedicated to finding and recovering and conducting those full investigations for for vehicle theft. So that's a great thing to report. As far as arsons go, you're going to see a decrease overall in the city of 13.33%, and then a decrease of 33.33% in the county, for a station total of 19.05%. And then again, overall, we're looking at a 26.65% decrease in crime in the city, increase slightly of 2.25% in the unincorporated areas, and our station total of being down 22.86%. So I know that's a lot of data. I remember sitting in these meetings and going, holy smokes, that's a lot of numbers. We can go through each of those if you have specific questions, but we're overall tremendously excited about the progress that we're seeing in that partnership. So,
Great. Commissioner, questions?
What do you attribute this to? Why are things turning around?
well, it's difficult for me in my role, I'll be super honest with you, to speak specifically to the overall strategies of the station and the partnerships with Lancaster PD, but I know the role of the Sheriff's Department has not changed, and we will continue to go out and hunt and continue to go out and find the bad guy. So I think a huge part of it is the allocation of resources, to be quite honest. The investments that have been made by the city, they've only benefited, they've only helped. We are short-staffed. You've heard us say that for a very long time. But I think the biggest thing to remember is that regardless of the short staffing, you are still having deputies go out and do the job. I will also give kudos over to my partners at the District Attorney's Office. Criminals know that crimes are coming with punishments. And so I think as that continues to improve, I think you're going to see a lot more hesitation, we'll call it, on the minds of the criminals, because they know that if they are going and they're going out and committing crimes, they're actually going to get filed on. So I think that's a huge part of it as well. I think you're seeing a lot of things play. But again, in my specific role, I don't want to speak to overall strategies just because I'm just the community relations guy. So if you have questions about our community academy, I'm happy to help you with that. Yeah, absolutely, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I just say this is, not only is this incredible, and thank you for sharing, more importantly, thank you to all the deputies and law enforcement out here for doing their part and making it safer. One thing I'd point out, I mean, the numbers are, I think, even better than they look when you look at the 5-year change. You know, when we remember 2021, we were still in partial lockdowns, so things like, burglaries, robberies, people were at home. Those were down. So while those may have increases on a 5-year period, it's not exactly apples to apples, and it's very significant. Thank you.
Yeah, I think when you remove the math and you look at the numbers, you're talking about a decrease in stolen vehicles from 532 to 248. So that's a lot less victims of stolen vehicles, right? And looking even just at burglaries, residential burglaries, we're at 232, and now they're down to 172. Robberies going down 8 for the 5-year period. Sexual assaults are down. Homicides are down drastically. And a lot of that too, I mean, think of the work that's being done by the first responders when they're on scene. A lot of our not necessarily our technology in finding the criminals, yes, that's improved, but also our ability to render aid has drastically improved even just over the last 5 years, and the effort that's being made to train law enforcement on a medical response side for trauma patients. So I think there's a lot of contributing factors in the overall aspect of it, but this is great news. This is great news for us, and we're riding this with kudos.
I know that I'll hear the community say, "Why are you reporting lower crime when we don't feel it, and it doesn't feel like it's happening?" And one of the things I wanted to mention, I think I spoke to the sergeant about it this morning, is that even though some people say they don't feel it, I am hearing that some people do. Some of my mom's church, I was telling the story, they've had their instruments stolen 3 times. And just this Friday, their alarm goes off at like 1 in the morning, and the deputies got there so fast, nothing was stolen.
Good.
So they wanted me to extend a thank you for that quick response time. And it is evident. And then I frequent Chuck E. Cheese on Sundays. And the security guards there said the same thing. They had an incident there, and they said the deputies got there immediately and were able to control it. So I wanted to thank you for that. The response times, I'm hearing it. Like, the stories are coming to me, and the response times are getting better. And that balances out when people say, well, I don't see crime going down. I go, I'm hearing crime is going down. Like, the community's telling me it's going down. So I wanted to thank you for that, for your quick response times, and for getting to the community when they need you the most.
That's really encouraging, ma'am. I'm excited to share that with the team. Thank you. I know as our response time have actually decreased, we're down to, I want to say it's 200 minutes for the overall average, which compared to what it was is good. I know that still sounds horrible, but we are constantly doing everything we can to make improvements. We're really getting on the deputies, like, let's go get logged on, get changed out. We're trying to exchange cars and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but we are also seeing, just to note that, an increase in the number of stringers and, local media that is, for lack of a better term, ambulance chasing. So the community is seeing a lot more crimes happening in real time. But to your point, we are so grateful that you're feeling that effect of it. Because again, I think that goes back to everybody's involvement in it. But on the other side of that, from my side of the shop a little bit, we had just had our Community Academy, which is a twice-a-year program where we partner with Palmdale Station. We do the Antelope Valley Community Academy, where we take participants who are business owners, they're real estate agents, they're just average community members, parents, Little League coaches, and they go through an 8-week program where for 2 hours every week they sit at the station and learn pretty much every facet of our law enforcement agency. They get to meet the gang detectives investigating the shootings in their neighborhood. They're getting to meet the traffic investigators working hard on their fatal traffic collisions. They're getting to meet all these different elements of it, and we successfully graduated just shy of 40 people about 2 weeks ago. So that's 40 more members in the community that just kind of got a backstage look at what we do, and their response was phenomenal, just as far as them getting to do a ride along. They got to follow it all the way through to the jail system, so they went and toured NCCF down in Santa Clarita, and they just came back like, this is insane. I got to tell my friends, like, I had no idea this is actually how it works. So we're super grateful for the city's support and the encouragement. I can't wait to pass that with the team. So.
Yes, the church is on Yucca and I. It's a Spanish church, Ministerio de Fe, and they just wanted me to say thank you. Thank you.
Good. No, I will check in on them myself, because we're constantly expanding our Spanish language opportunities and abilities as well. So
Thank
good.
you.
Thank
and
you,
Chuck
guys.
E. Cheese.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, where'd my agenda go? Next up, we have California Highway Patrol. And as a birthday gift, I will not sing to you.
Much appreciated. Happy to be here on my 55th birthday. It's truly my honor to serve as the area commander here in Antelope Valley. And I woke up this morning, I truly felt blessed to be here in the community. So I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. But I just wanted to say good morning, Chair Mercy and the commissioners. I just want to first provide a quick staffing update, because I do believe that staffing is imperative to public safety. Our guide strength in the Antelope Valley Area CHP office is 51 uniformed employees and 7 professional staff. I'm pleased to report that we are completely full. We have all 51 employees. So that's 44 officers, 5 sergeants, 1 lieutenant, and myself, along with the 7 professional staff that keep the office moving. I did submit a proposal for additional resources for 15 additional officers. I don't expect to see an answer for that in the next maybe 6 months or so, but I think in the next year, starting the next year, we might see some. We're hoping.
Captain,
Yes.
what makes you think you need 50 more individuals? 50 more?
15 was the request,
Oh,
to
request.
increase our allocation from 51 plus 15 more. That was my request.
About this area is getting bigger and the
Yeah,
more
just the
accidents?
population, traffic, what we see on the freeways and the surface streets, the collisions, the fatal traffic collisions. I put together quite a comprehensive proposal, submitted that, and I think it was well received.
So how long will it take to look at your proposal, 50 more officers?
I'm sorry?
How long will it take?
I think it's all about timing. As we know that the state, there's a budget crisis. I also know that our Highway Patrol Academy has slowed down a little bit because we have reduced our vacancy rate significantly. So it's just a matter of our executive management determining where exactly our resources are best used. There may be another area in the state that is in more dire need than the Antelope Valley. So it's just a matter of where they decide the available resources that we have will be allocated. But I think they'll take a look at it probably the first quarter of next year.
This is Santa Clarita, what do you call that, CHP. They do have more officers than Antelope Valley? Santa Clarita.
Santa Clarita?
Yeah.
Santa Clarita, the Newhall office in Santa
Yes.
Clarita. They're about double the size.
Oh, they're top
Yes.
size.
Yes. So a significant difference. But the Antelope Valley Highway Patrol is the second, how could I phrase this? We investigated 47 fatal traffic collisions within our jurisdiction. And we were only second to South LA within the Southern Division. So when you consider it in those terms, we're handling quite a bit of traffic collisions and a large portion of the fatal traffic collisions that occur in our Southern Division. So that was part of the justification for the
Wow, that's
additional
wonderful.
resources.
When, you're also one of the larger geographic.
1,400,
areas. Yeah.
1,400 miles of jurisdiction through, through the main line and county roads, so absolutely. So, okay. Speaking of which, just as an update, it's been a couple of months since I've been here. As I present to you all, I want to provide you information that's relevant to Lancaster and the surrounding area around Lancaster. The Highway Patrol breaks up our officers into beats, or areas of responsibility. So beat 11 and beat 21 go right through the city of Lancaster, right down the middle, on the main line freeway. The rest of my statistics will come from unincorporated areas or pockets that surround the city. Because of course the city police department and the sheriff's department handle crashes within Lancaster. Okay, total crashes in or about Lancaster were 368. Number one cause for these crashes is speed related. And as typical fatal traffic collisions, the same thing that has been causing fatal traffic collisions, nothing has changed in the many years that I've been with the department, and that is speed, unbelted drivers, and impaired driving. This is just a historical picture of fatal crashes in or about Lancaster. You can see up at the top that I selected these beats, these line beats and area beats right around Lancaster. So it's not all of that 1,400 miles of our Antelope area jurisdiction. We're just kind of talking about Lancaster specific or adjacent areas. So last year we had 47 traffic collisions, or 47 fatal traffic collisions, 15 of which occurred in or about Lancaster. At present, 3 of the 13 fatal traffic collisions we have year-to-date in Antelope Valley were in or about the Lancaster area. Our goal is to reduce overall fatal traffic collisions from 47 to 42, which would be a 10% reduction. At present, we're even, 13 year-to-date versus in 2025, it was 13. Specifically, of the 3 fatal traffic collisions that we are investigating this year, one of them was on the mainline freeway in Lancaster. It was on the I Street off-ramp from southbound SR 14. It was a pedestrian was walking on the freeway off-ramp, and the motor vehicle operator was driving under the influence. So that's still under investigation and determining, who's most at fault. The person walking on the freeway off-ramp, where exactly were they, and how impactful was the impairment. September of last year, I developed what I refer to as an area or a local strategic plan, and we identified some stretch goals that we wanted to accomplish in the coming year. Much of that was to reduce overall speeding violations by, or increase speeding by citations for speeding for up 10%. Seatbelt violations, we wanted to increase seatbelt violations by 15% and reduce overall DUI arrests. I'm sorry, we wanted to increase DUI arrests and then decrease DUI crashes. Okay, having said that, the goal was 10% on speeding tickets. We're currently at 114% increase. So we're doing fantastic there. Seatbelt violations, goal was 15%, we're up 59%. We're doing great there. Overall activity, patrol hours, citations, all up significantly. Where could we use improvement? Within our DUI arrests are down 20% year-to-date from last year. So I took a look at our analytics, our crash analytics, our crime analytics, and what I've done is I have adjusted our third quarter schedule to increase staffing on our night shift. And we're going to put those officers in locations where we have DUI activity or known DUI activity. So we're making slight adjustments in the third quarter, and if necessary, we'll make further adjustments in the fourth quarter. to hopefully meet the objective, which is to remove impaired drivers off our roadways. And lastly, I just wanted to remind the community members that might be watching online or so forth that we have quite a bit of outreach programs here in the Antelope Valley and throughout the state. Start Smart being one of them. That's a program designed for teen drivers and parents. They teach defensive driving. They'll watch a pretty impactful video called Red Asphalt. And really it talks about poor decisions up until that point as a young person. You know, if you make a poor decision, maybe it's just your parents ground you or something negative happens. But at this point, once you get a driver's license, you know, the results of poor decision-making could be life-threatening. So with that, within this program, they discuss provisional licenses, consistent information provided to both the teen and the parent is important so that there's no cross in the messaging. And we hold these Start Smart presentations once a month right here at our Lancaster office. So anyone who's listening, we invite the community to participate. If you have a teen driver, come on out, sign up, and we'll get you on the roster and we'll get you in a class. We also have some other programs, you know, aimed at teen drivers through our elderly or older roadway users. So whether it's Right Turn, which is about choices and consequences, or Age Well, Drive Smart, which is designed for our older roadway users to provide information to help them drive safer longer. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, any questions from commissioners?
Thank you. Thanks for
No.
great report. Oh, yeah. So what is the current speed limits on the 14 right now, city limits?
Current speed limits on the 14, well, the speed, it's just funny we should say that. We just had someone
I know
call.
it's still under construction.
Yes, it
I don't
is.
know if it is still 55 miles an hour or,
Within the construction zone, it's still 55 miles an hour. Everywhere else on the 14 freeway, it is 65 miles an hour. What's interesting is we just had someone call the office and complain, and they said, well, how am I supposed to know what the speed limit is on the freeway? But they were doing like 85 miles an hour, so it really wasn't, you know, like, I don't know. So, any other questions?
No, just happy birthday as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all your officers.
Thank
District Attorney?
Good morning. Today I have our filing statistics for felony filings. And what you'll see on the slide in front of you is a comparison of March, April, and May filings, and then also our declines for May. I will specifically refer to our May filings and declines, but you can look at the others for March and April just to see kind of a comparison between the numbers of filings. In May, we were presented with one felony arson case. That case was declined. In the same month for auto thefts, we filed 5 felony auto theft cases and declined to file 3. Burglaries, both residential and commercial, we did not decline any of those cases that were presented in May and filed 3. Criminal threats, we filed 7 felony criminal threats cases and declined to file 4. For drug sales, we filed 2 cases in May and declined to file no cases. In the area of domestic violence, I see here that we filed 6 felonies and declined to file 6. Felony evading and felony hit and run cases, it looks like we did not have any filings or declines. I do believe that we did file some misdemeanor cases, but those are not reflected here in these statistics. Felony assaults, including assaults with deadly weapons and assaults likely to produce great bodily injury, we filed 3 and declined to file 8. Felony DUIs, we filed 2. There were no declines. For thefts, including identity theft and grand thefts, we filed 6, declined 4. Illegal weapons and firearms, we filed 8, declined to file 3. For murders or attempted murders, there was 1 filing and then 1 case was declined. Robberies, we filed 7, declined to file 2. Sex crimes, and those are both crimes against adults and crimes against children, we filed 3, and our office declined to file 9 cases. Vandalisms, there were no felony filings and also no declines. For violations of protective orders, and those are, in that area, we would have criminal protective orders, civil restraining orders, civil harassment orders, and kind of domestic violence restraining orders. We filed 10, and then we declined to file 22. That number stood out to me as a significantly high number of declines in that area. So I did take a look at our decline paperwork to see the reasons why we were declining those cases. I found that about half of those cases were declined because they lacked sufficient evidence. Many of those cases, there just wasn't any corroboration. It was kind of a one-on-one type of situation where there was no evidence that we could use to support the complainant or the victim's statements that we could use in court to prove the case. In the other half, there was a combination of things. In one case, the victim of that violation just was non-desirous. They wanted a report to be made but did not want to proceed with that case. In about, I'd say, 5 or 6 cases, we declined them for further investigation. In those cases, and most of them I reviewed myself, and most of those cases where I requested further investigation, they were cases that were not quite sufficient to file, but with additional investigation, I believe that we could uncover the evidence or find additional evidence that could be used to present those cases in court. So I gave some instructions to the deputies presenting those cases and asked for them to follow up in these areas. In one case, I saw that the specific request was completed, and I was able to file that case. And usually we give about a 30 to 60-day time frame to complete that investigation. And I am seeing that we are having some, I would say we are getting the investigation completed. Sometimes we're able to file, and then other times it doesn't produce enough evidence for us, but we have seen some success in that area. And then the last area of declines that I saw for these particular cases, they weren't, the cases weren't completely declined. And what I mean by that is we've seen some cases where we have a criminal protective order that was issued in a domestic violence case, and the order in that case was violated, but the case was still pending in court. And so what we would do is we would use that evidence of the violation to we could use it to add to that particular case, amend it and add a new charge, or it could be used to change the person's OR conditions if they were released on their own recognizance. The court could ask for electronic monitoring, or the person could be taken into custody. So we're using that to change the terms of the release for that particular person. And then in other cases, I've seen defendants were on probation and were using the violation of the protective order to violate their probation. And oftentimes, I'm electing, or our filing DAs are electing to violate probation because it's a different standard of proof. You don't have a jury trial under those circumstances. It's a hearing in front of a judge who would decide whether there was a violation or not. And rather than proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that's the highest standard, we're using more of a, it's like a preponderance or a clear and convincing evidence type of burden of proof. That's a lower burden, but we're presenting it just to the judge. So you have fewer people to convince, and the burden's lower. So we find that we've been more successful in violating probation rather than charging in a new case and putting our resources towards that when the evidence is not quite there for proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But there's evidence there that shows the person in all likelihood violated, but we don't have that additional evidence that we would need to convince a jury. So with the probation violation, then the defendants can be sentenced on the violation to additional terms. Sometimes if it's on a felony case, it might be that now is the time because of this violation and other violations to send the defendant to prison, or it might be we want to find a drug program or mental health treatment or community labor or community service as an additional term of probation. And so when we're doing probation violations, sometimes it's a better use of resources to go that route. And I'm seeing a lot of that on the violations of court order. All right. And with that, I have nothing more unless you have questions.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
All right.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the information and the background on how that works. Okay, next up is our Lancaster Police Department.
Good morning. I'm going to be very quick with just a couple of things and then pass it on to our community development, who's going to do a presentation this morning. I've had a couple of calls this week, several calls this week and last week, where people, to your point, Commissioner Hernandez, said, I don't see anything being done. And so I just wanted to convey some of the information that I have on those calls, because once they hear, then they're like, oh, okay, that's great. So one of the things that we have is we have 3 homeless engagement teams that go around the city. They're out 7 days a week. We make hundreds of contacts a week. We offer services. We clean up encampments. We pull 22 tons of trash and debris from the streets a week in Lancaster. 22 tons. That's significant. If we weren't doing that, things would really look different. And we had a great win last week, partnering with the LEAD program with the county. And we were able to pull 9 people out of 1 encampment and into services. They all took services. So they're all in housing now and getting treatment. 9 is a big number when you're talking about groups of people who generally don't want anything to do with services or any help. So we're seeing some great success in that area, and I think it's important that the public get to know that, because those are things that you don't get to see or hear about. So
Yes.
I just wanted to highlight those teams that are doing that. And we have 2 teams that are part of or 2 divisions within our department. One is that homeless team, the other one is our core team, and they're the ones who have the giant hearts, and they bring all those resources and partner with all those community agencies and organizations to make sure they get connected to the right people. And I've shared before, and I do share this to the public, that on any given week, there is somebody from that team who is in tears because they are so compassionate. So it's also important for the public to know that we do have a compassionate side. We do care about people in all walks of life, and we do want to help everybody. And we are making great strides in that regard. So, and then our traffic team has been doing DUI checkpoints, and we have seen a consistent reduction over time in the number of DUIs coming through those checkpoints, which is interesting. And then 2 weeks ago, we worked with CHP on a joint checkpoint. And then last week, we did another one. And last week, we actually had 0 DUIs come through the checkpoint, which was surprising. But we had, I believe, 64 contacts through that checkpoint. And of that, half of those were, or almost half of those were unlicensed or suspended drivers. That's a big problem here. So definitely something we're enforcing, the sheriffs are enforcing, CHP is enforcing. You lose your car for a significant period of time when you're driving on a suspended license. And people come and say, well, I need the car. It's like, well, you chose this action. That is something that we're going to be tough on. We're going to continue to be tough on because it poses a danger to everybody else that's on the road. When you have somebody who's unlicensed, they haven't proven the ability to drive safely. Generally, they lack the knowledge of the road rules. A lot of times they're, taking shortcuts, just not driving within the safety guards that we all were taught when we had to get our licenses. And so we're going to continue pushing on that as well as an important field. So, and with that, I'm going to pass it on to community development.
Good morning, Chairman Mercy and Commissioners. My name is Justin Hillman. I had the privilege of presenting to you guys a few months back, but I am the Community Preservation Manager, directly oversee our code enforcement and parking enforcement functions. Before you is a quarterly report. I intended to give this to you guys last month, but I know we didn't have the privilege to meet. But I wanted to make sure that you guys had the opportunity to have some information on what code enforcement and parking enforcement is doing in our communities. We're currently at staffing levels of 10 officers. We're looking to hire another officer in July in the new fiscal year, which was approved by council, which is great news for us. We need a lot more bodies to keep our neighborhood safe, but that's great news for our team. As you guys know, code enforcement directly is involved with making sure that we are protecting the community and our neighborhoods from dangerous properties, blighted properties, public nuisance violations, things that are happening on our public right-of-ways. And so what I wanted to make sure that you guys were being informed on are the different things that we're doing in terms of code enforcement actions, high priority cases that we're working on, successful cases that we've resolved, things that we're currently doing, some really significant programs that are helping improve neighborhoods, and some general statistics that I just wanted to kind of have for you guys available to you, and just kind of go through some of the things that we're excited about that we're working on. The first thing, if you look at the special operations beginning highlight of the page, we have an active case that was a illegal grow case that was at 3897 Avenue K, which is the intersection of 40th and K. This is a long outstanding case, code enforcement case that was a big problem for our public safety years ago, that was executed through a warrant that eradicated an illegal grow facility. We are looking at pursuing a warrant to have all those structures. There's about 7 structures that are now have been red tagged by our building official because they are considered to be unsafe. As you guys know, we have a lot of problems with vacant properties out here that are being inhabited, and as a result, we're having fires, and those are direct public safety threats. So my job is to make sure that we're identifying those properties and making sure that they're either secured, or we're going through our legal process to make sure that those corrections are rectified. And so we're actively investigating or pursuing an abatement warrant for that property to have the owners or ourselves, through our contractor, demolish 7 unsafe buildings that were previously being used for cannabis cultivation. So that is one of the things that we're working on right now. We have our code enforcement attorney pursuing that warrant as we speak. So more to come on that, and I can continue to update you on that case. We had a successful abatement pursued on a vacant property on 40th Street West and Avenue I. If you guys recall, there were about 13 red pods that were out on a vacant parcel that the owner was responsible for. This was a significant accomplishment considering the amount of calls and complaints we're getting from nearby neighborhoods of just the nuisance of them being there, the trash and junk associated with the element of the property. And so through our legal process, through our attorney, we were successful in obtaining a warrant from Judge Yang and getting that abatement accomplished in March 5th of this year, and getting rid of that violation. So currently in that case, we have a hearing set up with that property owner who's disputing the abatement fees. So we have a hearing set for that in a few weeks for that contest, but we should be successful in that. And so as part of our legal process, we try to recover our cost. And so we had sent a notice of abatement cost to be assessed on the property to recover the contractor fees, the time the officer spent on the case, the assistance of LPD to go out there and pursue the warrant. So we want to make sure that when we're executing these cases, we're looking at recovering our cost on these too. So we're in the process of doing a hearing for that cost recovery. As you guys know, we deal a lot with illegal street vending. I wanted to highlight that. We've had some long-standing cases with specific taco vendors that are operating in various parts of our city, and we have been pursuing our administrative citation process with them for quite some time. We are escalating that case to pursuing what's called an injunction. So it's a cease and desist order, and it's a civil injunction that our code enforcement attorney is in the process of filing, so that we can get them in front of a judge. Because you guys know, state law in 2019 decriminalized illegal street vending, which made it very difficult for us to get resolution on these cases. But at the end of the day, if it's a public safety threat, it is a public health issue, we can escalate those cases. So that civil injunction is the route we're taking with those cases to make sure that there is resolution, and so that we're not just issuing citations and chasing our tails, that we are trying to get an end result and make sure that they stop selling unsafe food to our residents. So that is the goal. And we do have a case on Tacos Estillo Rancheron, that operate in various parts of our city, most known on Challenger and K, near the AutoZone, as well as Gadsden and J, and on the west side in 20th and M are kind of the three known locations for them. But we are pursuing that case with our legal team to stop that completely. We have given them every opportunity to obtain permits and go through that process, but they have refused for the last 3 years, and they just continue to operate illegally. So that is where we're at with that. Some programmatic updates. We do a lot with the community in terms of trying to provide outreach, provide assistance, get people to comply, and getting their properties in compliance. As you guys know, we launched a program this year called Yard Smart. And what Yard Smart does is it targets areas of our community that we have a high level 1 crime area, and looking at properties that need help, that have serious blighted issues with their property, specifically with their front yards, their landscaping, building exteriors that are just kind of dilapidated, things like that, and trying to help them recover and really restore their property to make sure that it is no longer a public nuisance, and seeing if we can make an impact and change, and looking at these high crime areas so that we can make a difference and see if there's a change in the crime element when we're trying to bring these properties into compliance and beautify them. So Yard Smart is a program that our beautification manager, Nicole Jones, oversees. She has a landscape contractor that will go out and we'll get cooperation with the owner. It's a free service. We'll go out there. We actually did one during our Lover City event where we completely restored a veteran's front yard. And got it all completely done. You had overgrown dead trees in the front. You had overgrown brush that were growing into the street. I mean, you had rodents, you had vermin, harborage, you had all kinds of issues associated with that nuisance property, but we completely restored that property. And so that was a success we had. We have 10 properties that we're looking to restore this fiscal year. We've done 4 so far, so 6 more to go. So our next meeting, I can provide additional updates and maybe some before and after photos, which really tells the story, if you guys would like to see that. We also launched our vacant property registration program. As I was saying in the beginning, you know, we have a lot of problems with vacant properties. And so we did an ordinance update in Chapter 9.55 in December of last year, where it's requiring commercial property owners to register their properties if they have either vacant buildings or if it's a vacant lot, so that it provides a pathway for us to require inspections. And there's a fee associated with, depending on the blight level of their property, they have to pay a certain fee. And it really helps property owners be held accountable to making sure their properties are in compliance and they're secured from preventing from public safety threats happening on that. So we have a current program that's regulating and overseeing that, and that registration funds that comes from that program directly pays for Yard Smart. So that's how that works. We oversee mobile home park inspections through our code enforcement function. We had a meeting with our park managers. We had about 26 park managers show up last month, and we went over some state bills, some new laws that are coming down that's affecting rent control, space mobility, and bringing in new buildings and permitting requirements and so forth. So we had a good turnout for that, and just want to provide a brief update on that. And then the second page is some general overall stats for the first quarter through April of this year. It talks about our top 5 code enforcement violations that we had. Again, dealing with a lot of overgrown properties with overgrown vegetation, blighted conditions, trash being out in public view. So if you could see the top 5, the statistics for that, we had 111 violations for overgrown front yards, 75 cases of trash containers, overgrown landscape that's encroaching into public right-of-ways at 73, junk trash debris at 70, and then unmaintained building exteriors at 23 cases. And this is dealing with properties that either have broken windows, they have substandard conditions, whether there's a roof in disrepair, there's tarp on them, things like that, which is covered under the unmaintained building. And as I said in the beginning, we have parking enforcement, a team of 3 officers that are going around the city, responding to calls, being proactive in certain high concerned areas. For the first quarter, we had issued a total of 4,202 citations. We towed a total of 27 vehicles from public roadways for either being abandoned or being inoperable on public roads. Top 5 parking violations for the first quarter, we had 2,871 citations for posted signage for sweeping streets, 483 citations for missing expired registration, 465 citations for missing license plates, 112 citations for parking in excess of 18 inches from the curb, and 65 citations for oversized vehicles on public roadways. So that's some hard stats. If you guys would like to see those stats differently, if you want them monthly, I can adjust these reports for you as you guys would like to see them. But I also want to end with some key city council actions that we had in the first quarter. In March of this year, at the March 24th council meeting, approved additional AI cameras, which is through our City Detect program, which is our cameras that are on top of our vehicles that are scanning properties to help augment staff time on our blighted properties in our city. So we have allocated 3 additional cameras that are going to go on our street sweepers, because as you know, street sweepers cover a lot of area and they're picking up a lot of data for us. So that was the best way we can utilize that program. So not only our parking enforcement cars, but now our city street sweepers all have AI cameras on them scanning properties every single day. So that'll tie into giving us information as we need, and really augmenting staff time to have to go out there on these properties. Additionally, we have approved a legal service agreement to hire our own code enforcement attorney, which was approved by council on March 24th as well. And this is really important because, as you guys know, a lot of code enforcement cases go unresolved. They take years to resolve. And I think the missing piece in a lot of code enforcement cases is that you don't have a good legal team to help bring these cases to prosecution. And so we've hired a criminal prosecutor, James Eckhart, with DePere, Rosenbelt, and Glickback, who's a 25-year veteran code enforcement prosecutor. He's a KCO board member. He knows code enforcement really well, and he's already showing success with a lot of our cases. So really excited to work with him closely. We executed a new towing service agreement contract in May of this year that was approved by City Council. We've hired or contracted with 4 vendors. We are going to be working with R&J Towing, Velocity Towing, Clark and Howard, and Always Towing. So those are going to be our 4 towing vendors that we'll have for the new contract year. Again, I just want to elaborate too on our work that we're doing with local law enforcement, with sheriffs and LPD. We're doing a lot of great things with them. A lot of things that affect what they do and what we do. It goes hand in hand. And so I'm excited for the work that we're doing with all the agencies. So if any questions, I'm here to answer. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Questions?
No, this is a lot of information, and thank you
Yeah.
so much. It did cover a lot. It's a lot of updates. I'm glad to see all the progress that we've been making, and it's definitely going to beautify the city. I know sometimes it can be a little scary, when they get that code enforcement notice. But when I've followed up with the community, they said that the city's been very responsive, very nice, walking them through. I think some even were able to get their notices translated. So I just wanted to let you know that at least with the food vendors and the landowners, I've heard very good and positive responses when they come to the city for help and assistance. So I just wanted to let you know so you can thank them for that.
That's great to hear. I'll let the staff know. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
if I could really quick over here, sorry. I know I'm not on your commission, but just publicly, I want to definitely express gratitude for Justin and his team. I think a lot of what we talked about when I first got up there and what the public feels has almost sometimes nothing to do with the criminal enforcement, and it just has to do with what their neighborhood looks and feels like. And for years, there's been a partnership between the Sheriff's Department and code enforcement, and a lot of times there is a true value in helping educate. And I think with a lot of cities, I've come from other stations, and I think with a lot of cities, you often have a code enforcement team that's there just to be the, hammer on the door that says, do this, because our city needs to be clean. Well, the code enforcement team out here in Lancaster has done a phenomenal job of mending that and balancing the enforcement aspect with also the education aspect, because community members do feel like they can go and ask questions and get their properties cleaned up. So for us, from the Sheriff's Department perspective, who are going to these calls for service, and a lot of times we cannot get a way in. We need to help. We know we need help. Somebody called us for help, but there's no real solution because there's been no attorney to back. If it's not a criminal issue, I cannot help you. I am a law enforcer, not a law creator, so I can't give you a solution in this time. I have to pass them over to code enforcement, and I cannot tell you how many times that has been the solution for us as a law enforcement agency to come through with our partners truly in helping the community. So huge kudos to you guys. It's a great report, and the decisions that you're making behind that are phenomenal, and they're helping us. So I know they're helping the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
And what's the best way to contact the code enforcement? Because I know we have a, City of Lancaster, we do have an app, you know, I've been using it, it's great.
Yeah.
And is that the best way to contact you?
Yeah, I think using My Civic, the public app, is the best way to get a code enforcement case created. We do have a hotline you can call as well. So we have two different ways. We have a code enforcement email. It's community preservation at City of Lancaster. So we have all these different things you can do. So the email, the hotline, and the app. The app is the most commonly used platform to report. And the moment you submit that, the next day, there's a case started on that. So
By
that's,
myself, I've been using it. You
That's
know,
perfect.
Whatever, you know, drive down the city, I see something, debris is non-safe, you know, and I take a picture, it's all work out great.
yeah, that's the best way, especially because you can provide that information, that photograph, that really helps us target what you're talking about. Yeah, so that's the best process.
And they know.
Yeah.
The location, exact location. you
Right,
know,
probably
by
because
using
it's
that app.
usually a repeat location too, so
Yeah.
we already have history, we know where it's at, so, yep.
And I was gonna ask Chris, because I've been trying to contact with the homeless issues, you know, but I noticed that the LPD has business hours. Because I know I have your personal number, I have a, you know, personal number for Chief. I don't wanna bother them over weekend. I don't know where you guys at, you know? So, when I call that number, it has a business hours strictly, it says it, Monday through Friday, and I believe it's 8 to 5, you know? And
That-
weekends, we won't be able to, you know, connect anybody.
Right, so that's correct. Right now, our office staff has business hours. August 1st, we go 24/7, so you'll be able to call 24/7. It's when we take over traffic services. And so, until then, we're building the staff to be able to do that. And then as far as the homeless, we do have teams that go out 7 days a week. They don't go out at night, but they are out all 7 days. And Inform Lancaster, again, is about the best way you can report those issues through the app, because that does get routed to us. So even the teams that are out and about, they can get information passed on to them, as they're not going to be sitting inside answering a phone. They're actually out in the field. So, and until August 1st.
Okay.
And it'll be before that as we get the people on, but August 1st, we will be 24/7 on the
Yeah,
phones.
they've been asking the question, and what kind of police department it is, they got business hours.
Yeah, it's-
You know what, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, it's
I found out
our
for
front
you.
desk staff, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, City of Lancaster, they can do something about that or not. There's a huge population of always Avenue K and freeway on ramp, off ramp. okay?
Yes, that is a problem area for sure.
But
And
so
then we,
what I'm saying is, I know there is a problem, but,
Yeah.
you know, those homeless people, they just to walk through the, you know, the captain mentioned that, and, you know, just the freeway on ramp. People speed up to get on the freeway, all of a sudden, it happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
I have to slam on the brake to stop,
Right.
avoid the, you know, the run over. to
Right.
them. So I think we can put some sort of, you know, chain link fence or something to stop them, walk across over there. I don't know if it's the best idea or not.
yeah, so there's a couple of things that play right there in that particular area. One is there's a large, well, first of all, the freeway and then the space next to the freeway, that's all Caltrans jurisdiction. So we don't and cannot enforce
So it is.
in that area. So we have to work with Caltrans to get them to come out and work with us to do that. So there's a process in place to do that. We're trying to get, I guess, permission from them to be able to represent them and just go do
I
that,
see.
and just go handle it. But that one particular location has a very wide Caltrans area, and so they'll transition back and forth, right? So we push them out of the creek, they'll go up into the state property,
Yeah, we'll look at
and then they'll
it.
come back down, yeah.
If we just ignore it or leave it alone and one day somebody's gonna die, it will happen.
Yeah, I agree. It's dangerous there. And then also, we are hitting that area really hard with the lead team to get those people pulled out and into services as well. They're a county team, a resource team, and they have some just people doing magic. They're able to, like hard cases, they're able to convince them that, this could be a good thing for your life and get people to buy in. I don't know how they do it. They do a
I
great
know
job,
they
so.
wouldn't listen, yeah.
Yeah, so we're working in that area, but that seems to be It seems to be kind of a little hub right there. We have that, and we had Boeing, we've cleaned that out. I and 10th, we've cleaned that one out now. And then there's a lot of outer, outskirts areas and stuff, but that K and the freeway right there is always a challenge for us. We're not stopping.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, this is often the, kind of that first step of that, having that pride in your community and feeling comfortable, and that leads right into feeling safe, so thank you. Okay, next up, we have our elected official office updates, and I believe we have Anna from Assemblymember Lackey's office.
Good morning.
Good morning, Anna.
So I am Anna Zarley with Assemblyman Tom Lackey, 34th District. For the homeless, real quick, on the Caltrans area, if you go onto the Caltrans site, put in a complaint, they'll give you a ticket number. Once you get that ticket number, you could always call our office if it's in our district, and we will get in touch with Caltrans and they can expedite the movement of the homeless. We've done it a couple of times for some of the hotels that were having issues. I had them get their ticket number and we were able to get them out of there within a day or two.
And how do we contact your office? Like phone number?
What is our phone number, Drew?
Oh,
661?
oh, no, that's okay, we can, I'm so sorry.
I can give you my phone number.
If you had an app
But yeah,
or
you could just get in
email.
touch with us on our, the Assemblyman's website also. And then we can do that way also. And I'll leave you guys some of my cards, so it has all my information on it. That's the easier way to do it, because of the fact that our district is over 18,000 square miles, and there's only 3 of us covering it. So we go all the way to State Line, Nevada, to 29 Palms, up into Big Bear, Gorman the other way, so we have a pretty wide area that we cover. So we do work with Caltrans quite often, so. Also, as you know, the Assemblyman is terming out, so he's been working really hard with safety. And we have 8 bills that have gone into Senate. They're in the Senate side right now. One of them is AB 1685, which is one of part of his DUI package. This one here is in state transportation. It increases the DMV point assessment for vehicular manslaughter convictions from 2 to 3 points. And AB 1687, which strengthens the penalties for repeat drunk driving by extending the DMV license revocation period for a 3rd DUI conviction from 3 years to 8 years to keep high-risk offenders off the road longer to improve public safety. And that one is in Senate Transportation also. The other one we wanted to talk about real quick was AB 2304, which is considered Gabriel's Law. This one is in Senate Human Services. This one here, the law clarifies when a child requires immediate emergency medical, surgical, or any other care in emergency services, social workers shall have a child seen by the appropriate medical professions. This bill additionally clarifies existing law that social workers can be held accountable for falsifying records. And one more, AB 2337, which is in Senate Rules, will amend Penal Code Section 487 to make theft under an authority of 487 to make theft under color of authority a grand theft regardless of the value of the items taken. This would make the theft under color authority similar to a theft of automobile or firearms. So these are all in Senate side getting ready to be voted on. And then we'll see how that goes maybe next month. When we come back, we'll let you know which ones actually got out of Senate and where we're at with those. But any questions or anything for me? We're good?
Yeah, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you for the update and
I'll leave my cards here, and so this way you'll have all my information. It's easier to email also, if you want to get in touch with me, if you want to go that route and see what we can do with the Caltrans and homeless, and see how we can help you. Okay?
Well,
Thanks.
thank you and the Assemblyman for his efforts. 12 years flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll be having his going out party in October, so I'll make sure everybody gets the invite. I asked him, what did he want to call it? So on the flyer, it's going to say, no mas for Tomas. So that's, so we'll make sure that everybody gets invited for that.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next up is public business from the floor on non-agendized items.
This is the time to address the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time limit is announced. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Mr. David Paul, come on up. Do we need a hand with the?
Everything's perfect. Chair Mercy and Commissioners, good morning. You know, it's exciting to come here, and this meeting was pretty good. I liked it when Sergeant Jensen said that he was paraphrasing excited about the work with the Lancaster PD. That's the thing that we all need, is a little excitement and enthusiasm. I came to the meeting last night, I spoke about, because it was mentioned, our nation's 250th anniversary. And I was going to tease Ken Mann. I used to have Marvin and Rex up there, and we're all about the same age. So we went through the bicentennial when we were young men in our primes, and I remember that vividly, and I just love celebrating America. But so today I have a couple of fun things I wanted to talk about, but Madam District Attorney, thank you so much for the denials talk. I mean, that, you know, when you said you looked at it and you're thinking why, that's what everybody's thinking. So thank you for clarifying that. That's it's part of how it works, and I always appreciate your willingness to stay in there no matter how crazy it is. But on the fun side of things, I don't like to complain, but now I've been getting out, I'm gonna put this in here first. Because of my new carbon fiber Jazzy, I'm able to get out a little more. And there's a coffee with vets, it's not coffee for vets, on Mondays, the Veteran Information Center. It's down 40th East there by the Lancaster Baptist Church. So when I drive there, I drive down H to 40th, and I was so surprised this time I drove, I haven't done that in quite a while. There were 2 taco trucks on the road already when I went there, like 7:30 in the morning. And by the time I came back, about 9:30, there were 2 more, and not to mention the ones at the corners and stuff. And I was thinking to myself, what a public safety issue that is, if someone would just pull over and get some stuff from these, who could pull over on H there? So anyway, thank you for cracking on that. But the chair that gets me around now, you can see on the side of it, I have a nice Lancaster Police Department sticker, and it's the real deal sticker. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was all excited. I went to, used to work with the CAC, they had an event, and Sergeant Jensen was there, and he was nice, and I was showing him my thing and telling him all about it. And I told him I need a Sheriff's Department sticker to put on the other side of my chair. And he gave me this. I was all excited. I got home, and it's a little kitty badge that they give out for the kids. And I'm going, son of a...
You'll get the real one soon, I promise.
Sir, you have to up your game. That's all I'm telling you. I don't like to speak bad. So thank you for everything you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Commissioner comments?
No, just thank you for all the information.
Yeah. No, just thank you. You know, one of the things that's always encouraging and inspiring to hear is how well our agencies are working together. We often hear about the opposite with government sometimes, and so appreciate all that all of you do to make sure we work together and serve the public. Thank you. Okay, with that, if there's no objection, we will adjourn to our next meeting, Wednesday, July 8th at